Hey there, everybody. New studio, new intro. I'm just here to remind you guys before you listen to today's episode, make sure you follow the show and subscribe wherever you listen. If you watch the show on YouTube, make sure you subscribe there, you comment, you like, and you share. Also, follow my social media, all of it, both Instagrams, my Twitter, follow it all. Your life is to be consumed by my life. Tell everybody that you know about me. Start conversations with the fact that the Smoking Simian is your favorite podcast. Bombard everyone that you know and love with the Smoking Simian. Send them links day in and day out of my show, of the episodes, of my posts. Get thrown out of your house because the only thing that you care about is the Smoking Simian. Do it. Enjoy today's episode. Bye-bye. Good morning, everybody, and thank you again for tuning in to the show, whatever the show is called. Who gives a fuck, really? Thank you, guys. I always appreciate it. I have been getting these, I don't know if they're advertisements. I don't know if they are legit, but there are these platforms that give out rankings on what your podcast is. And I've gotten two of them from two different things, but they've been in the same realm. They've been top 200 for comedy on certain platforms for the last. It's very specific, right? It's like weird sports stats. It's like, Dwight Johnson shoots 35% when he's eating, fucking yaki udon noodles on a Thursday night game. He's done, it's one of those real specific stats, but I guess, according to Carlos, which was the guy who emailed me about this stat, I'm 183rd in stand-up comedy podcasts on Apple Podcasts in the last 30 days. So, hey, you guys always hear me bitching about how there's nothing. I have nothing to show for this show except for 213 episodes of just either interesting conversation, but more recently just murderous banter and oration. And here's to that, guys. Here's to that. Very good. For those of you that watch the show on YouTube, you guys must think I'm a fat bastard because I always have this cup of ice and black stuff, but it's coffee. It's not Coca-Cola. I very rarely drink soda unless there's booze in it. If there's booze in the soda, then it's okay. And even that, I don't do that much anymore. If I drink, it's going to be, it's typically a gin and tonic because I like to get where I'm going quickly. I'm not going to go out and have one drink. What the fuck? What is that? Let's go have a drink, man. Let's sit and have a beer. Let's sit down and have a beer and watch the game. No, I don't do that. If we're drinking, we're fucking drinking. We're having a good goddamn time. We're having fun, which is why I don't do it that often. Because if I start to drink, then there's no stopping. It's like a ball rolling down it's like a snowball effect. But speaking of fun and drinking and excitement and joy, a couple things that I've been devoid of this past week. I'd like to think that I'm a little past that. I had a pretty shitty fucking week last week. This is a new goddamn week, motherfuckers. I'm not here to bitch to you guys. All my friends already hear me bitching about my life enough. And those are the only ones that listen to this show any goddamn way. So I'm not here to bitch about it. But I am here to bitch a little bit more about New London, Connecticut. Because this past weekend, they had something called Sail Fest. I was completely unaware. I went to work on Friday, and one of the bartenders that was there, she was like, "Oh, it's Sail Fest this weekend in New London." And I'm like, "Really? I'm in New London. What the fuck is that? Where's it happening?" She goes, "Oh, it's on Bank Street." I say, "Wow, I'm a fucking 100 feet from Bank Street. That's not bad at all." And it turns out that Sail Fest is this big 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is the first time they've done it in 2 years because of COVID and whatever else. And they have one of the biggest firework displays on the East Coast, supposedly. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true because Disney has a firework display that'll blow this place's firework display out of the fucking water, and they do it every night at all of the parks, right? All 4 of them or 5 or however many they have, and they're on the East Coast. I mean, what is that? So, I don't know if that's true, but I came home yesterday from a terrible day of work, and I came home and I was absolutely infuriated, just mad, just very, very angry with my situation and the whole thing. And I came back, and the lot that I park in was completely full, as well as all the streets full. So, I'm driving around looking for parking that isn't there, and the whole time just thinking murderous thoughts. And the fireworks are going off, and the whole time I'm like, wow, it would be great if these were actual bombs. It would be awesome if there were people running for Remember last time I was talking about Chicago, and there were people running for their lives while the fireworks were going on? I think it would be great. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a buzz. I think it would be great to recreate that here. And it was a lot of people. Man. This town is so devoid of anything good. The people here, literally the event was just something to give the Mongoloids that have lived in this town for as long as they have, or not as long as they have, just the people that have the displeasure of being from here or living here or whatever the case. It gave them all a break to stop shooting heroin and burning cigarettes on their babies' legs. It gave them all a break to go out and walk around. And mind you, New London's small, especially where the area they were doing this was. It was a lot of people, guys. I mean, a lot of fucking people. The security guards had ARs across their chests just in case. And I was hoping that someone would just get out of line, just a little bit, get out of line, start that wildfire, and those ARs could be put to use, guys. But nonetheless, it didn't happen. But the event was basically, it's just like any other fair, right? Just like any other festival or carnival. There's rides being operated by child molesters. The rides are ancient, and, you feel incredibly unsafe by going on them. And sometimes you got to sit next to a complete stranger for a while, right? You remember the zipper? Some of you guys, people who listen are from all over the place, but there's this ride that everybody loves at the carnival. It's called the Zipper. They didn't have it here, but it's like this cage that you go in, and you stand straight up in the cage, and you hold on, and you go in this you go in a circle, right? It's like it's not really a circle. It's more like a thin oval, put it that way. It's like a conveyor belt. How about that? A conveyor belt, and the cage that you're in swings, and it swings back and forth. You go upside down. The person you're with, you want to swing back and forth, and you're basically in this death machine. And sometimes you got to do it either by yourself or with some other person that is there alone. And I didn't do that, but I'm sure there were plenty of people there. But it's you do that, and then you walk around and you eat. You eat whatever garbage they have, right? Fries covered in mac and cheese and pulled pork, and they put onion rings on top of the fries, and they cover it in barbecue sauce and mayo, and you eat that. You fucking eat that, and that's not all you eat because it's a fair. You got to have a little bit of everything. So then you go to the next thing, and they got, fried ice cream that was fried in lard, and they cover that with nacho cheese and jalapenos and sour cream, and then you eat that too, and then you you get a big drink. You get a real big drink. It's purple, and it's got little crunchies in it, and and you suck that down, and then you go home and you die. You go home and you go into cardiac arrest, but the whole time you listen to people outside walking around saying whatever, screaming. There's bands playing. And what's really interesting about Sailfest is that here in New London, there's a train, right? I live right next to an Amtrak station, and people are hanging out. There's kids walking around. There's families and whatever, people playing games. There wasn't any games. Now that I think about it, there was very few games. It was mostly food and rides, but and vendors that are selling knickknacks, stupid things, and it's funny because there's people walking around, and then all of a sudden you snap back into reality, and you're like, oh, this place is shit. This place sucks, because then a big train comes and you hear the horn, bwamp, bwamp, and the things come down, and the police have to say, all right, nobody walk. I know you all want to kill yourselves, but not today, right? We're trying to have fun. This is Sail Fest. This is the first Sail Fest we've had in 2 years. We got to have a good time, guys. But I love that you don't forget where you are, because that train just rolls right through. It rolls right through, dropping people off. And there's probably people who are just passing through New London. They're on the Northeast Regional, right? They're headed to Boston, a real city. And, they just came from somewhere, and they're passing through, and they're like, wow, look at this. What a festival. This would be nice. I wish I got out. And then maybe some of those people do get out. You know what? Fuck it. I'll get a hotel and I'll hang out here. And then they get off, and they're bombarded with just cigarette smoke and bad kids screaming, and people whose stomachs are past their knees, but they're still eating. They're eating the pulled pork and the cheeseburgers that have been sitting there all day. They're eating them. And that's Sailfest, guys. And it's still going on. It's quiet today. It's Sunday. Sunday's supposed to be the lax day. Yesterday was the big day. Yesterday was the big kibosh. But I already hear people running around and screaming. And I won't be here today. I'll be leaving a little later in the afternoon. I'm going to Six Flags. I'll be at Six Flags while you guys are listening to this. But yeah, Sailfest, guys. People say, I was speaking to a guy, and he says people from New England they come far and wide to come to this event. And I said, why? Why in New England? There's so many nice places in New England, guys. There are. Those of you who haven't been anywhere in New England, it's actually really nice. I joke about it. I fuck around. I've never really fucked around and said, much. I do like New England. Let's put it that way. I like New England. Massachusetts is a great state. Rhode Island, very nice. Vermont, the best state in New England. Maine, I've only been once. I'll be going at the end of August. We'll narrow those dates down at the end of the episode. That's going to be a fun time. New Hampshire, great. All great. Connecticut, dog shit. Go past Connecticut. It's fine. But if you're going to go to Connecticut, the very last place that you would ever go is New London. I talk to people at work all the time. Native Connecticut people. People who are from Connecticut. And they say, you live in New London. How do you like it? And at first I was like, oh, it's not bad. And then later on I hear them talk, and they have nothing but terrible things to say about New London. And I'm like, yeah, I was mincing words the other day. New London's a dump. And they're like, yeah, it sucks. It's terrible. It's probably, it's awful. And a lot of this state is awful. You guys know that. You don't need me to tell you. But New England is nice. New England is nice. Most of New England is nice. Connecticut, I wouldn't mind, like I said, if one of those California-style earthquakes or wildfires or something, if just one wildfire the size of the ones that they have in California, Northern California, now that's a beautiful landscape in Northern California. They don't deserve the wildfires. Yes, they have problems, right, in L.A., homeless people and whatever, but they have a beautiful state. They at very least have a nice state. Fuck. This zipper stabbed me in the fucking stomach because I'm a fat pig. But at least, and they obviously have the wildfires because of the climate. It's hot. They're mostly natural wildfires. Sometimes you get an animal who starts one, but, not always. And but here would be awesome. Here would be great. Or one of those earthquakes that they have over there. One of those, just one earthquake here in Connecticut would absolutely bury this place. If there was a big earthquake in, Uncasville, where Mohegan Sun is, and Foxwoods, if they just had a big one, this whole state would literally be nothing. Literally be nothing, guys. The only thing that this state has are the casinos and Yale, which they're not even proud of. I've already said this before. If you guys haven't heard it, I'll tell the story again. One time I was in New Haven, a city that I've heard much about, right? Not good or bad, but I've heard about New Haven, Connecticut. It's one of those ones that people bring up. And I didn't know that it was the home of Yale University, one of the biggest and most prestigious universities that there is in the world, let alone the country, but the entire world. You say you graduated from Yale, you're a big deal. Even George Bush, who got C's at Yale, he was part of the Skull and Bones. Yale's got the Skull and Bones fucking club, guys. Are you kidding me? Do you know how prestigious it is to be a part of the Skull and Bones club? For those of you who don't know what that is, the Skull and Bones fucking society, a lot of high-powered individuals are there. You don't just join the Skull and, but you kind of need to be bred into it. So, and that's at Yale. Yale is the home of that shit. And you'd think it would be something to be proud of, but Connecticut fumbled the ball. New Haven fumbled the ball. I'm in the train station, a place where there is people coming in and out, tens of thousands of people every week, in and out of that fucking place. And they have this big screen right next to where they have all the times and the destinations for the trains. And they have this big screen right next to it, and they show pictures, old school pictures. Here's New Haven in 1943. Here's this part of New Haven. Here's Wooster Street in 1956 when Frank Pepe's just opened up, even though they opened in 1920. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Little things, little quips about New Haven. Not one thing on there about Yale. The home of Yale in the train station, doesn't have one fucking thing on there. Nada. Nothing. But you know what they did have? They had a picture of Fidel Castro getting off of a train in the New Haven station in like 1962, and it said, Fidel Castro, leader or fucking... I don't know if it said dictator, because that would be bad. You don't want to paint Fidel as a bad guy. You're already featuring him as a big deal for showing up at your train station. You don't want to paint him as a bad guy. So it probably said fearless Cuban leader, Fidel Castro visits New Haven, and he's getting off the train, and he's got a big cigar and a bunch of people around him. So, yeah. Connecticut just doesn't know what they're doing. They just don't know what they're doing. It is a failed state. It goes right there with Delaware and fucking... Even Delaware. I don't spend much time. I've driven through Delaware. It's a dump as well. Another dilapidated, economically depressed fucking state. But at least they have the claim to fame to being the first state. At least they have that. This place, fucking dump. Piece of shit. Burn it to the ground. You guys know that. And that will conclude my tirade on Connecticut and New London for a while, for a little bit. I've been playing that card a little bit, and it's been fun, and I know you guys have been enjoying it, but we're going to move past that until something new happens here that will force me to revisit the idea. Now, I guess supposedly Elon Musk isn't going to buy Twitter. Who's going to save us now, guys? Who is going to save our ability to speak freely on a public forum with no censorship whatsoever? Who's going to do that for us? If not Elon, who will it be? I don't know. I don't know that what he was going to do was going to make it any better. Who knows? We didn't know. I mean, he had ideas, right? He had the edit button. You could go back and fix things or whatever. So encouraging self-censorship, basically, is what it sounds like. Twitter is a great platform for menacy. It is. It's a great platform now. It's a great platform already to go and fuck around on there. That's what the former, what was it, Jack Dorsey? He was the former CEO of Twitter. And he wanted it that way. He wanted people to do whatever the fuck they wanted for the most part. Now, Elon, I don't know how much more he wanted it to... I mean, the Taliban is allowed on Twitter. I have my claim to fame is me talking about the Taliban being allowed on Twitter. Does it get any more free than that? How much freer do you want? Do you just want white people to be able to say the N-word? Like, speak it out loud on Twitter? Is that what you want? I mean, don't get me wrong. I completely believe in free speech. I feel like anybody should say whatever the fuck they want. But to say that Twitter is already is a place where you can't do those things, it's kind of not true, right? I mean, you can, on any given day, you can go on Twitter and you can find, porn. You could find amputee porn on Twitter if you wanted. You could find people getting murdered. And here's the thing, guys. There's, YouTube, you can't see people getting murdered. But Facebook, if you want to see people get murdered, you can go on Facebook. Remember that guy that shot shot those people in the street? I know that's pretty ambiguous. People always getting shot in the street on Facebook. But you know what I'm talking about. The guy, the couple, he shot them both and then went in the house, got an AR, said you should have kept your fucking mouth shut, and blasted that woman right in the street like a dog, and then killed the boyfriend in the house, and then killed himself. It's, where is the censorship there? Right? There's no censorship there. There's these, on Instagram, right? On Instagram, you can see awful, fucked up things. Not as bad, right? Not as bad, but they have the sensitive content thing, right? You can click it and you can see it. I mean, what is that? That's barely censorship, And Instagram is known for having more. So they'll flag your shit. They flagged my shit. One time when I did the podcast with Chris Bullock, he had said something regarding vaccines or anti-vax. That was the thing. I was like, all right, listen, here, we're going to get banned. Anti-vax. And I just said the word anti-vax on YouTube. And I posted a clip about it. And he reposted it. And he got flagged. And I didn't. Weird. Why? I don't understand. It's picking and choosing. The algorithm just picks and chooses. Now, is the answer to make a more free-thinking algorithm, one that doesn't give a fuck what anybody ever says at all? Why even have an algorithm? Why not just have Twitter be a whiteboard where people can just go on and say whatever the fuck they want? Why even have an algorithm? You want to know why they have an algorithm? Because they can make money. Twitter doesn't really make... ad revenue, I don't get a lot of ads on Twitter. It's just words, right? If you watch a video, maybe they'll throw an ad in there. But for the most part, there's not a ton of ad revenue. There's the censorship thing it's weird, right? Because we do see a lot, right? I'm a big proponent of, I'm on the complete opposite end of the spectrum where I don't want any censorship at all. Of any kind. Anybody should be able to say whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want, because they're going to do it anyway. I made this point before. People talk shit anyway, and I didn't know that Louis C.K. said the same thing, but it's just talk. It's just banter. But now that it's written down and it's words and people could see it, now it's a big fucking deal, right? It's just like when I was talking about Lizzo. And how, she was getting her feelings hurt because people are saying all these mean things. And it's like, what do you think they say at home? People say it already. You talk shit too, Lizzo. You know this. You know when Lizzo turns on My 600-Pound Life, she's like, damn, them bitches are fat. Look at them fat fucking pigs. Good God. I know I'm only half their size. Good God. Imagine 600 pounds. Jesus. Look at that fat fucking pig. She does that. She just doesn't tweet it. She doesn't do any of that stuff. She's the poster girl for big, sexy women. That's good. I think they should be... I think everyone should have some sort of representation. Look what it did for me. I can now, because of maniacal people like Sam Kinison and Bill Hicks and George Carlin and these guys, I can now carve my own way as a guy who screams into a microphone about terrible things. Tim Dillon, right? Another guy. There's representation there. A white person, a white guy who is just fed up with everything and can scream about it and hopefully monetize it and get people to pay attention. You see? It works. So if you want to have... that's why they have My 600-Pound Life. There are morbidly obese people out there that are begging and hoping for their shot to get on that show. They will do anything that it takes to... what about those two big sisters? You ever see them? Those two big girls? There's the one that's way bigger than the other. One's like, maybe 400 pounds, 450. The other one's like pushing 7, right? And they argue. She's like, you should get as big as me. There's a lot I can't do. The other one's, well, there's a lot you can do. You can. There's a lot you can do. You can lift your arm up to wash under your titty. You can do that, and you don't even do that. Get your big fat fucking ass up. Imagine being 450 pounds and saying to your sister, get your big fat fucking ass up and work, or go on a diet or try. Right? Imagine that. That's the pot calling the kettle black if I've ever fucking seen it. Imagine being as big as me. No, I don't want to imagine it. That's terrible. Imagine that. Imagine never stopping eating. Imagine that. Imagine having a disease that I can only have in America, in this country. Are there morbidly obese people? Are there people that are 700 pounds in, Austria? I wonder. If there's, because there's places like, Kyrgyzstan or Kazakhstan or, Stan or just anywhere, Thailand. There's places where people they buy what they need. They eat what they eat what they have. They don't do excess, right? Even in Europe, everything's way smaller. Refrigerators are smaller. The sizes of things are smaller because you just get what you need for the day. That's all you need for the day, right? It's just like when you're a kid and your parent says, hey, you eat one piece of pizza. If you're hungry still, go get another one. Fine. Don't put 3 pieces on your plate because now you're going to force yourself to eat it. You're going to eat all 3 pieces. If you just eat one and you're fine, then you're good. But if you want another one, go ahead. That's kind of how they live in other countries. They have what they have. They eat what they just use what they use, just use what they need for the day. And, I don't know if those societies have such morbidly obese, and they're definitely not going to have TV shows about it, right? I mean, I don't know. I know America is the entertainment mecca of the world, right? Because we have figured out a way to entertain people based on, just these subcultures of sick people, right? We know that there's a market for everything here. We figured that out, guys. We figured it out that there is a market for anything. If you like to watch a bunch of people, a bunch of women who are richer than you, can afford whatever they want, they live in Orange County, and you want to watch them complain about nothing to each other, right? Could just have drama and argue with each other, then we have that. We have the Real Housewives. If you're a person who likes to watch, people who found some lane in the entertainment industry, got enough money, and were able to buy themselves a real big house, and you want to see the lap of luxury that they live in, we got a show for that. We got Cribs, right? We have a show for everything. If you want to see people do heroin in a bathroom, we have a show for that. Remember True Life? True Life's not, I don't even know if it's on anymore, but they had an episode with these 2 guys who just do heroin in a bathroom. I mean, that's as raw as it gets. Is that even on TV anymore? Can you even show people doing heroin? What kind of country do we live in if you can't watch people do heroin in a bathroom? I mean, we figured it out, guys. We figured out that you can have a bunch of people who cook at their house, they think they know what they're doing, and then go on a television show, get a bunch of shit off of a shelf, cook something, give it to a bunch of chefs, get critiqued, and get sent home or win money. Right? We figured it out. And in these other countries, I don't know that they have done that. I don't know. They focused on things like, civilian health care, mental health care. They've made sure that the people in their countries are well educated and they're happy and they're able to, survive. They might not have the most, they might not have the coolest things, right? But they can live, right? They can survive. There's no such thing as going broke in Iceland. There's no such thing as being homeless in Iceland. There's universal basic income, and these people have, there's industry, and there's all these things. Where here, We don't have that stuff, you know? Instead, we have so much excess that we can complain about bathrooms and we can complain about words. And, you know, another thing that's happened recently, I didn't get to watch it because I don't have Netflix because I'm a broke son of a bitch. They have Chappelle. Chappelle did another surprise Netflix special. Didn't get to see it, but people are still up in arms. The people who work at Netflix are so upset that Dave Chappelle is on there making jokes. They're so upset that people are leaving. And Netflix don't give a fuck. Thank God. Thank Christ that Netflix isn't catering to these fucking sissy, soft, complaining-ass motherfuckers. Thank God that Netflix has a fucking ball sack. And they can see that what Dave Chappelle is doing is just part of his motherfucking job. Thank God that they have found, thank God that they're not kicking people off and taking away their livelihood for words being said, for doing their job, right? I mean, Chappelle is the greatest comedian, arguably the greatest comedian of all time, maybe even the greatest comedian of this generation, but he is doing what the fuck he's supposed to be doing. He said, the more that these people don't want me to say things, it means I have to say things, right? And it's soft people bitching and complaining and worrying. Like, don't you just ever give these people some weed, give them some mushrooms, have them understand that what they're doing is just, it's stupidness. It's just stupidness, guys, and I'm at the end of my rope with it. If you guys could tell. Now, don't get me wrong. I haven't even shown the tip of the iceberg in this entertainment fucking nonsense that I'm trying to do, and I'm already fed up with I hope I get to a point where a bunch of people know who I am and they know what I'm saying and they know what I'm doing, because I want my very existence to be a protest of that shit. I want the fact that I am walking around and breathing and saying whatever I want. I want that to be a detriment to those type of people, because those are some of the worst type of people. They are. And if you listen to my show, which you probably don't, because you've probably heard me say I want, a mass shooting to happen one too many times. But it's, if you're one of those people, then I would prefer you to not listen to me. I would, really. And I don't have, it's not like I have fans. I barely have an audience. I just don't want, I'd prefer for you to not listen to me. Put it that way. I'd prefer you to just shut it off. If you don't like it, then shut it the fuck off. That goes with anything. That goes with Chappelle. That goes with, anybody, any show, any movie, any piece of media, anything. Just shut it the fuck off. Nobody complains when you sit at home and watch, 60 Minutes or whatever the fuck, right? Nobody complains about that. You like to sit at home and watch My Strange Addiction. That's the media you enjoy. You like to watch Family Feud. Go ahead, sit home and watch Family Feud. You fucking mindless, soulless reptile, you. Go ahead, have fun doing it. Anyway, rest in peace, James Caan. Rest in peace, Tony Sirico. Two, fictional mobster legends, right? James Caan wasn't even Italian, but he is synonymous with, he is a staple of Italian-American cinema, as well as Tony Sirico, Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos, arguably the best character, right? Arguably the best character. Also, one of the few authentic characters or authentic actors, right? I mean, he was in jail. He spent time in Sing Sing, which is, no easy fucking thing. And he decided to, I guess an acting troupe came to jail, and he was like, fuck it, I'll do this. I can do this. I can act like myself, right? I think Big Pussy was also a a pretty authentic guy. He was like a nightclub owner before he got into acting. Vincent Pastore. But yeah, rest in peace to both those guys. Two authentic motherfuckers, especially Tony Sirico. Tony Sirico, ever since I started getting into The Sopranos when I was younger, I didn't really watch the show, but I would watch a bunch of clips. I was like, this dude's the coolest one. He's the coolest motherfucker. So, 10 bell tolls for both of those guys. Rest in peace to both those motherfuckers. Those two plus Ray Liotta and James Gandolfini, they'll all be hanging out up there, acting as mobsters, right? That's what they'll do in the afterlife. They're gonna pretend to still be the characters in the movies that they played. That's what everyone does when they go to the afterlife. They just pretend to be whatever they were known for. Right? They just go back to doing that. If you were known to, shake your dick at people and you got arrested a bunch of times for sexual misconduct, but you changed your life and you turned into a God-fearing man and somehow found your way to heaven, that's what you do in heaven. You're just an angel now. That's what eternal paradise is. You're just the same thing. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird how we think that? Like, when we die, it's already weird that we think that there's a heaven or there's an afterlife. And maybe there is. I hope there is. That'd be cool. But it's weird that we think that we'd be the same thing. Like, I'm going to be this fucking guy in eternal paradise. Like, I'm just going to be, walking around smoking blunts, bad-mouthing people, and doing a podcast, but I'll be in heaven. I'll be in heaven, and God's office will be, right down there that I can just transport to. It's so weird how we think we have these physical, because all we understand, most of us, is the physical. So we assume that once we die and the physical is gone, that, we'll go back to something that resembles something concrete. When, hey, maybe it will. Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Did you guys hear this? The Prime Minister of Japan killed. An assassination of a major world leader has taken place in our lifetime. That is at very least interesting, right? I'm not Japanese. I don't know anyone that is Japanese, actually Japanese. And realistically, I don't know anyone that is even of Japanese descent now that I think about it. John Larkin's Chinese. I work with a girl who's from Thailand. I don't know anyone that's Japanese. But a major world leader of a democratic nation, of a nation that isn't really, they're not doing anything terrible, right? I'm sure they do bad things, just like every other country, but they're not, they're not dropping acid on women trying to drive. Shout out Andrew Schultz. They're not starving their people. Japan knows what they're doing, more or less. They figured it out after we bombed them and we said, hey, we put them in their place. And, after that immense loss of life, they figured it out since then. And they've been kind of laying low. They got Tokyo, right? Tokyo's great. They got Okinawa, where the life expectancy is higher than anywhere else. They have more people over the age of 100 on the island of Okinawa, right? A place I would love to go. And this is a time I've never witnessed a assassination on that's a major world power. Japan. Everyone knows Japan, right? You go anywhere around the world, Japan's like Michael Jackson. Everyone knows Japan. But the guy that did it had a homemade gun. He had a homemade gun because gun violence isn't, super prominent in Japan. It's almost like getting rid of them all helps people not kill each other. But they have, fairly strict gun laws in Japan, and very few people die by gun, except for the Yakuza, right? I'm sure the Yakuza has guns. and good luck protecting yourself against them. But this guy made his own gun. Now talk about determination, guys. I mean, that's determination. You got to make your own gun. When I was in high school, there was the schematics that were going around for the 3D printed gun. There was, and I had a class. It was design engineering, where we would design things and you could 3D print them. And one of our assignments was to make a phone holder. You can make a holder for your cell phone, and it would, and they would print it on the thing. So, that's cool. And I remember my teacher saying that he had the schematics for it, but, and that guy was weird, and people didn't like him as far as students. So it was kind of unnerving knowing that he had the means to make a gun. And I wonder if you could make the bullets too. I'm sure you could. But this guy, I mean, I don't know how he made the gun. I don't know what he made it out of. But to kill somebody with a made gun, I mean, that's Fallout. That's like Fallout, That's crazy. And this guy he was motivated. He was ready to go out there and kill a religious leader. Because, and this is all according to him, this is according to a story that I read, he was upset that his mother went bankrupt because she was swayed to donate a bunch of money to a religious organization, and he wanted to get revenge for this guy taking all her money. I mean, kill your mother, right? I mean, you're upset because you lost all your inheritance to this religious organization. I mean, it's not that guy's fault. Everyone's got to have a scheme in this land of milk and honey. Everyone's got to have a scam to make things happen. So, I mean, you're getting mad at the wrong guy here. You're getting mad at the wrong. I mean, kill your mother. Shoot your mother with that made gun. Don't go out and kill the longest-serving prime minister of Japan on accident, right? I mean, that's a pretty good consolation, though. He couldn't get the religious leaders, so he killed the longest-serving prime minister of Japan, a legendary man. I know nothing about him, but apparently he was very, I'd have to assume he was well-respected. He was there for ages and ages, the longest-serving prime minister ever. I'd have to assume that he did a fair job. I don't know. I have no clue. But he was obviously shot and killed. And what a shame, right? What a shame, because it would have been much better to see the religious leader go down. Historically, we all know that religion has been a leading cause of murder and death and famine and poverty and awful, awful circumstances, awful things. I mean, Palestine and Israel back and forth over a fucking parking lot. Over a parking lot, guys. Just people getting murdered. The Palestinians, they got fucking taken off the map, literally. You can look at a modern map and Palestine's not even on there. How fucked up is that? That's terrible. Kill all the religious leaders. Kill them all. Start with the Pope before he retires and gets his pension and can go fuck kids on an island all alone. Kill him. Kill him first. Shoot him. Do it to all of them. All of the Dalai Lama. Fucking string him up by his toes and hang him upside down for 30 days. He'll die. Just do that. Fuck it. Do it publicly. Who gives a fuck? They're all ancient fucking religions anyway. Just like Bill Hicks said, ancient religions that are based on fear and not love. They were all set in there because they were trying to explain what's going on with the world. Maybe not Buddhism, right? Maybe I was hard on the Dalai Lama. I follow him on Twitter. He just seems like a nice guy. He's got to be hard to reach, I would assume. Good luck killing him. Is that who this guy was going for? I mean, if you're going for the Dalai Lama, I don't think so, right? I don't know if the Dalai Lama accepts donations. Maybe he does. I don't know what the Buddhist fucking monastery or church or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if they do the same thing that Christian churches do and they pass around a basket so that they can, so that the priest can put gas in his Mercedes. I don't know if they do that. I don't know if they do that so that the where the priest lives where he can get his big TV. Get the new surround sound system from Best Buy. I don't know. I don't know if they do that, and because I know the whole thing with Buddhists is less is more, and desires are evil, and the whole thing. Sadness comes from desire, and the whole nine. So I don't know if they do that there, but nonetheless, I mean, it would have been nice. It would have been much better to take this guy out. But then again, who cares? High-ranking officials, take them out too. They're barely employed for the people. They barely are. And I could be wrong, right? I don't know what the government and the legal system is over there in Japan. But over here, if they killed our president, I mean, there'd be a few people upset. But, our last president, if they killed him, people would be jumping for joy in the streets, I mean, there would be people very excited for that, just like there would be now, I mean, I'm sure there are people that were happy that Mr. Abe got murdered. But this guy, he's a real craftsman. I mean, they went into his house and he had explosives and, all these things, makeshift stuff. And it's crazy because they're talking about it. And I'm sure to them, they're like, wow, this is insane because it doesn't happen very often. But here it's like, another day at the office. You mean to tell me that you kicked someone's door in because you had suspicion of them killing somebody or they were going to do something bad. You went in there and they didn't have makeshift explosives and they only had 3 guns? What? That's crazy. That's insane. You mean to tell me that this guy didn't have an arsenal in his house? We would be surprised at that. We would be surprised if, they broke into a guy and they're like, that's all he had? Come on, they should have just let him go. He wouldn't have gotten very far. They should have just let him go, right? I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting to be alive during the assassination of a major world leader. I think it is. Do we think it'll ever happen again in our lifetime? I don't know. I mean, the only leaders we hear about dying are the ones who lead, terrorist groups, right? Like they killed Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Al-Baghdadi. He's dead. Osama, dead, right? They kill those guys. Gaddafi, dead. But they're the leaders of terrible organizations, and they lead awful fucking things. This guy was the leader of a democratic nation, a big nation, Japan. It's not some butt-fuck little country. That's Japan, baby. They hadn't lost a war in thousands of years until World War II. And one of the greatest empires the samurai, the greatest warrior to ever exist, came out of Japan. And we got to be alive when the longest reigning prime minister got shot by a guy who was upset that his mom lost all her money by giving it to a religious organization. I mean, that's at very least interesting, guys. At very least interesting. If you're in Arizona, little change of pace here. If you're in Arizona, back on the home front, starting in September, you will no longer allowed to film the police from if you're within 8 feet. Interesting. I wonder how they came up with that number. 8 feet. You can't. So does that mean cops will be part of their training? They'll add Arizona cops, right? They'll make sure not to do mental health screen. They won't add any of that, right? They won't add mental health screenings. They won't add being able to defend yourself without a weapon or subdue someone. They won't be able to, they won't have speech classes, right, to be able to communicate to an assailant, right? They won't do any of that. But what they will do is be able to identify how far and how close 8 feet is just by looking. That will be added to. That will be added to the requirements to become a police officer in the state of Arizona. Can you tell if that person is 8 feet away? And if they aren't, you can arrest that, but you can get a misdemeanor. If I remember correctly, you can get a misdemeanor for filming a police officer. Imagine that. I mean, you already can't film people. Like, that's already illegal. But, you can't really get in trouble for it, right? I mean, I guess they could call the police, but what are the police going to do? Hey, don't film this guy, right? But now, if you film a guy that is wearing something specific and is employed by the state or employed by a county or a city in this particular region of the country that we live in, you can now have your record all fucked up. All fucked up. Don't you dare try to film us beat this guy in the street for doing not much at all. Don't you dare try to report our injustice. Don't you dare do it. Don't do it. Right? Isn't that kind of a step in the wrong direction? Public policing of police officers is sort of, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because there are, of course, good police officers. But when the bad ones are allowed to run amok now, right? All the racist police officers, all the bad police officers that are on power trips, they're all going to move to Arizona, guys. And Arizona, as far as I know, is a fairly lawless place, right? It's a pretty crazy place, a pretty wild place, big desert area. I'm sure there's bodies that are left out in the fields or in the deserts, right? I'm sure they're strewn about. So, it's probably already a wild place. And now the police officers can't get filmed. How weird is that, huh? Now all the terrible police officers, they're all just going to move there. They're all just going to go there, and they're going to have fun beating people in the street with no public recourse, no public, nobody's going to be out there saying, hey, you can't do that. We're filming you. Unless they're further away, right? Because, again, it is a stupid rule. It's a stupid rule. No police officer is going to know 8 feet. You can't judge 8 feet. Who knows what that is? I don't know what that is, right? What's 8 feet? I'm looking around. I can't even tell you what's 8 feet. The length of this room, maybe? Not even. It's bigger than that. Who the fuck's going to know? There's not going to be anybody out there. Are police officers on that big, cumbersome belt where they have all their weapons to oppress people with, are they going to have a tape measure now? Are they going to be Bob the fucking Builder just to make sure that guy filming over there, well, let's see. Oh, that's 7.5 feet. Misdemeanor. You're going to jail, buddy. You're getting fined. You're getting this. You're getting that. People are just going to film from further away. It's not like, it's just stupidness. It's like, it's one of those things, it's like a Band-Aid, right? It's like masks when people still wearing masks, or even before when it's like, just put the mask on, just put it on. It's something, right? We know it's barely doing anything, but put it on. Give us the illusion that it's something. So now the Arizona police feel like, hey, you know what? I like that. That's nice. That's good. At least now we can, at least now we're, there's something in place so that we feel we can do our job. We feel that we can, people don't film from further away than 8 feet. What do they do, a study? Hey, if you were to film a police officer beating a guy into the ground who is absolutely complying and not resisting with anything that they say, if you were to film a police officer doing something like that, would you be further away than 8 feet or closer? And I guess most people would have said, well, I'd probably be within 8 feet of him. I'd probably be within 8 feet to capture everything, to capture the person on the ground groveling and with their face embedded with pieces of rock because the police are sitting on this guy's back after they've beaten him within an inch of his life. And, I want to make sure to get that, right? And I have to be within 8 feet. They probably did some sort of survey. Who popped up and was like, hey, we should have an 8-foot rule? Where are people getting arrested now? Are people just filming in clubs? Is that what it is? Like, I don't know. Realistically, guys, it's all bullshit and it's bad for you. Like Carlin said, all bullshit and it's bad for you. One more thing before we wrap this thing up. Vince McMahon, the illustrious Don of the WWE, the premier entertainment for cousin fuckers. Pro wrestling, right? Pro wrestling has taken a weird turn. It's become very PC, but word has just come out that over the past 16 years, Vince McMahon has had to pay out $12 million in settlements. That's not bad. Settlements in sexual misconduct. Let me finish that sentence. Settlements in sexual misconduct, $12 million. That's less than $1 million a year. I would have thought it would have been more. You mean to tell me that the guy who runs the biggest wrestling corporation in the world, the biggest wrestling entertainment corporation in the world, they're publicly traded, guys. This company is the WWE. You can buy stock in the W. That's how big it is. That's how big this guy made it. You mean to tell me the guy that for years was making money off of the bodies of people, especially women, propping them up sexually and only sexually for a long time. Only recently do they have women that are now being marketed as strong, powerful ladies. Before, in the WWE, it was women were in it strictly to be sex objects, right? Pretty much. That's all there was. There were sex objects. They would have bra and panty matches. Every once in a while a titty would come out, I'm sure. It was very sexual when it came to women. And that was it in the WWE. They had some strong women, but even still, like Lita, those of you old school fans, Lita was like a real badass woman. But even her, they had her and Edge do fucking. It was called a live sex celebration. Like, what the fuck is that? And you're telling me that this guy, the second coming of Christ in Vince McMahon, had to pay out money for sexual misconduct? The guy that used to make his wrestlers do steroids, and only a handful of his employees were actually in a position to do okay for themselves, right? Only the mega superstars like The Rock and Stone Cold and John Cena and these guys and Kurt Angle, and these guys were the only ones who are a select few were the only ones that were okay after their career. Interesting. I wouldn't paint a guy like Vince McMahon to do something like that. I don't know. Seems strange. But that's not bad. $12 million over 16 years. That's less than $1 million a year. There's guys that pay out way more than that. What do you think Elon Musk is paying out? He's paying. He had that one woman. I don't know what he paid her, but that one woman who he wanted to get an erotic massage from, she, I'm sure he paid her a fair amount. I know I spoke about her before. I forget what the number was, but yeah, interesting. Interesting what happens when you got a shit ton of money, But anyway, guys, I think I'm done. I always say I appreciate you guys listening. Dates coming up this Friday probably won't happen because all the people I know in New York probably won't show up. But if you're around, if you're listening, if you want to come, Stand Up New York, I need people to show up for that. I'll be there for the 10 o'clock show, maybe on Friday, July 15th.
August 6th, hopefully Broadway Comedy Club, another one, big hope. We'll see. Need people to show up for that. And then Portland, Maine, I got my schedule for what's going to be happening. Maybe I'll get added on to another couple shows. I put my name in the hat for it. We'll see. Portland, Maine Comedy Fest, I'm doing August 25th at Brookside at 7 p.m. Brookside, I think it's a bar or a brewery. And then on that Saturday, which will be the 27th, I'll be doing the Positive Growth marijuana dispensary, which will be fun. Also in Portland at 7 p.m. So a couple early shows, one on a Thursday, one on a Saturday. I hope I can get added on one or two more. They were looking to fill a couple more spots. And there's so many comics. I mean, we'll see if I get added to any more. But that's it, guys. Thanks for playing along. I'll talk to y'all on Thursday. Peace.
Hey, I'm back to reiterate all the stuff that I said at the top of the show. Follow and subscribe. Bye-bye.